Right, which means I've got to scoot back to my Georgina bit. Where is she? And I've opened this one beforehand, sorry. So Georgina is, I'm going to read out the official bit. She's put it all. Georgina is incredibly organised and has created all of the bios and all the stuff going on behind the scenes. So that's pretty amazing. She's also a personal tutor in STEM education, and she's the founder and owner of Green Tutors. She's worked and studied in science since leaving uni in 2005, and she founded Green Tutors in 2011 to share her passion for STEM learning. For 15 years, Georgina was a pharmaceutical scientist in discovery research, leaving in 2021 to focus on her tuition business full time. And since 2011, Georgina's recruited a team of tutors working and studying in STEM fields to inspire more students to take STEM paths. Georgina also participates in STEM workshops and careers events in local schools as a STEM.org volunteer, and in 2022 became a member of the Inspirational Academy with STEMazing Women. So since March 2020, she's been the host of Tackling Tutoring Online community, that's her Facebook group, sharing resources and coaching for tutors and teachers to bring their teaching and business online during the pandemic. And since 2022, she's also been the science specialist for Qualified Tutor, as well as the festival manager for Love Tutoring Festival. So welcome, Georgina. I'm looking forward to your fantastic event on turning leads into sales.
Thank you very much. Me too. So I'm just going to share the screen over here, and you can see. There we are. Again, the session. So turning leads into sales. So the idea of this session today is to help with firstly generating inquiries, or how to kind of identify things that might not stand out as leads, and to help you to convert more of those into sales, because it can be quite frustrating to get lots of messages on social media and wherever else and still not have a full calendar. So we'll work on improving that today. So you've had an introduction to me today, so probably don't need this one, much the same thing. We'll move on to what's going to happen today. So we're going to look at how to recognize leads, because sometimes they might not be obvious new customers and some things can be overlooked. Responding personally, so making people feel heard and making sure that they are they're happy to continue a conversation, that you're adding value in those conversations and making people want to buy from you, to simplify the process of connecting with customers in the first place, and how to follow up on people that maybe went a bit quiet. First off, before we start, I just wanted to check in and see how you're feeling about that at the moment, because hopefully we'll be able to make some progress in the session today. How confident, if you can add into the chat, how confident do you feel at the moment about selling on a scale from 1 to 10? If 1 was not at all confident and 10 is very confident, where would you put yourself on that scale from 1 to 10? And it would be interesting if you wanted to add as well what you're hoping to get out of the workshop today. That's perfect. Yeah, it can be uncomfortable.
I didn't put a number.
That's okay. Perfect. Bit of a variety, but all towards the top of the scale, which is good. Confident. Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah, that's a fun one, Lucy. Perfect. Okay. So there's a bit of a mix, which is good. So we're going to keep a reminder of those scores. So the first thing I want to break is selling isn't a dirty word. Kind of how Sarah described that not wanting to be salesy or pushy is like it's a fairly common thing. It can feel uncomfortable to be selling at all to people. Doesn't necessarily come naturally. You might have associated the word with awkward experiences in the past, pushy salesmen, pushy door-to-door, JML, all of that sort of cringy stuff. It can feel uncomfortable to sell, so we might be approaching that conversation already with apologies or just not engaging in the conversation at all. It doesn't have to be like that. You're all offering something of value. You're tutors. People have a lot to benefit from what you have to offer. You don't have to feel like you're ripping anyone off, that you're being immoral. You're supporting them with a problem that's currently causing them a lot of pain. So they would be very happy to hear what you can offer. They want you to offer that to them. So you're just telling them about it and how you can help. There's lots of people who sell with manipulative and dishonest tactics. That's the whole smoke and mirrors way of selling. It kind of guides customers into believing that they're getting something that they're not, and then once they've handed over the money, it's too late. That's not what we're about here. We can sell with integrity if we're honest with our customers about what it is that we offer, how we can help them, and exactly what's involved. So that means taking the time to talk to them about what their specific issues are, what they would need to support them. And sometimes that isn't something that you offer, and that's fine. You've had a conversation with them, you've worked out the issue, you've added some value, and they'd still probably be happy to recommend you, and they'll leave the conversation feeling happy, and they might need your services further down the line. But don't be afraid to blow your own trumpet a little bit. You're a superstar. Your audience needs to hear about what you do and how they can work with you. So first off, don't be uncomfortable with selling. Where do the leads actually come from? So how are we going to start these conversations? So there's obvious sources of leads. Maybe if you have a website, you can have a place for people to fill in a form and submit their details to you. That's nice and easy. That's very directly, they want your help. Perhaps direct messages through your social media pages, or somebody's shared your phone number. Do you have any availability for XYZ? Someone's referred you to them. I've heard you offer this. Some obvious sources might be overlooked, so I would encourage you to follow up on those. Yes, so Lucy's pointed out parents often don't have information about what they want. They don't necessarily know what they want. That's exactly why it's very useful to have those conversations, so that you can ask the questions that help you to see a picture of what they need, and perhaps if they've got the wrong idea of what they're looking for, then you can redirect them. Yeah, so the sources of leads that you might have missed, I would encourage you to take action on having a look. So people that contacted you and then went quiet, it's fine to follow up, obviously not to keep following up, but if you've given them a little time to think, people might appreciate that you check in on them, because they probably just got busy. Like their parents, most of the time, they probably have a lot else going on, so they would appreciate the reminder and the heads up that you're still available for them. They would be happy that you've remembered and cared enough to ask, that you thought of them again. Worst case scenario is that they ignore your message. They're not going to be upset that you checked in on them. Sometimes you get a message and it doesn't actually look like it's an inquiry, so it might easily be overlooked. The number of people that just start a conversation with, "Hi, I have no idea who this person is. I don't know what they're looking for." But you can engage in the conversation and build that relationship so that you can encourage them towards a sale if that's what they were looking for. If they were looking towards selling to you, which sometimes is the case through social media, then you'll know that, and then if that's something you're not interested in, they would, I don't know, block them, ignore them, redirect them, however is appropriate. But not everybody is direct in their intentions. They might be considering buying from you when they've contacted you or when they've connected with you, but they want to know a little bit more about you first. So they might just follow your page for a little while and maybe engage a little bit in comments on things that you share, or perhaps not engage at all, just follow what you share. They just want to get to know you a little bit. So it's like it's like for example, if you were in a dating group, if you went to a dating event and someone just walked up to you and said, "Will you go out with me?" That would be super weird, right? You don't even know them. You start with a little bit of conversation. You're not asking for a commitment without giving anything back in return. Networking is a fantastic source of leads, right? So my referrals increased a lot since I started a tutoring community. Tutors aren't obvious customers necessarily, but networking is a great way to increase your referrals. And tutors have children too. We all know a lot of tutors. We mightn't always remember what they all offer, but if they're available, or even if they're a good tutor, but more often than not, people will want to refer you because they like who you are and they know that you're an honest person, even if they've never been a client and seen how you tutor. It sounds bizarre, but it checks out. So you wouldn't refer somebody if you found them to be a bit rude, difficult to talk to, but they're not likely to put their students at ease. They probably make them feel a bit uncomfortable if they make you feel uncomfortable. But you want to help people who help you. So make sure to go and make friends as you go through networking communities. So social media comments, not necessarily direct messages. So when you're networking online, you'll probably engage in conversations on social media threads with people that you have never met. It's a great opportunity to practice beginning those sales conversations and also asking those questions to find out if people are ideal customers. So that doesn't mean somebody likes your post and you message them saying, are you interested in math tuition? We can be a lot less direct than that. We can ask them questions in response to their comments. So something that's relevant to the comment that they've given, maybe something tells us that they have a family, something around how they're getting on with their studies, what exams are they preparing for, how motivated is their child, what challenges have they been having. Those conversations should always be about adding value. You're not just interviewing them. How can you help them with what they've already told you already? Can you give them something of value straight away? And then always include a question in your comment, unless you've decided that the conversation's done, it's not going anywhere. Always include a question in the comment that's easy to answer so that they'll continue the conversation. Quick responses are always appreciated. Customers probably contacting you when they're ready to buy or they're in a space to have a conversation. You don't have to have the entire conversation with them at that point. The chances are you're not doing nothing, sitting there waiting for that message. You can respond quickly with the, I'm about to start a lesson right now, but I'd love to hear more about this. I'd love to discuss what you need. Are you free at 8 o'clock this evening, or let's chat tomorrow? It does help to have that mini script to hand to reduce the mental load. If you're in the middle of something and you get a message, you want to still be able to reply quickly and politely, but it will throw you off what you're doing. So having something prepared that you can send back, not with links, you don't want them to go somewhere else, you want them to reply to your message, but having something ready to prepare to send back very quickly can help you to have those quick responses to inquiries. That said, I wouldn't send a template response, right? So you know what the response needs to be, but you would customize it to the message that you've received and to the person that sent it. Customers are expecting bot replies and spam messages. So something that's clearly personal goes a long way, including their name in the message, replying to something that they've said, asking them another question, seeking to understand their problem, and then summarizing the problem and description back to them without any expectation to sell. So we're taking ego out of the picture. You're not selling in those conversations. You're aiming to help them, not necessarily selling yourself. They're not really there to talk about you. They're there to talk about their child. So offer value, ask guiding questions, and actually have that conversation with them. If they've contacted you at the time that you can have the conversation, asking questions and trying to understand what they need and what you can give them in that moment is going to make them much more likely to come back and be a customer than directing them to your website to book a lesson and then leaving them to get on with it. They probably won't. So use of language is very important. What language do you use in your responses? So I've seen a lot of you see a lot of responses in like social media threads. There's lots of groups where people post that they want a tutor, and you get quite clearly template responses, or a graphic flyer that's shared with a phone number that the customer's never going to type out into their phone, a link to take them to a page, and not even asking what they need. So something positive, helpful, and actually directed to the question that they've asked, and the person that's asked it is much more likely to get a reply. Positive language, so whatever they've said, something like yes, absolutely, I can understand that, I agree, you know, we're not being cheesy, but we want to be reassuring. So that positive language really helps them to feel like they've been understood. Repeating the offer without selling it, so not necessarily saying have a maths lesson, have a maths lesson, have a maths lesson, but if they've told you what the problem is, you can suggest the reply. So this sounds like a weekly class would be beneficial. We cover that in my tutoring sessions. I can absolutely help with that. I've seen similar situations in the past. We're also about being confident in ourselves. So assume the win, essentially. We're not being cocky, but we're being confident in ourselves. So don't say, if you choose me, it's not Dragon's Den, you're not being interviewed, you're the prize. Be genuine, but be confident. So if you're not the best option for them, what can you offer them instead? Or can you refer them to somebody else? Yeah, I see far too many people assuming that the customer's not going to want what they offer, and that's apparent in the language that they choose, and it puts people off. So if you don't believe in what you offer, then there's absolutely no reason why they would. So first up, we're going to have a brief breakout. How many people do we have? If we go into pairs, that might be the best way to do it. We're going to go through planning a sales script. Before we leave, let me share with you a guide to making a script. Okay, so you should have a PDF that you can download from the chat that takes you through the process of making a sales script, which will help with getting to know them and for them to know you, how to find their pain points, identifying how you can help them with those pain points, and having an idea of what you'd say. So thinking about the ways that people come to you. So if it's a social media message, which is where most of my inquiries come through social media messages. So if we start there, you don't immediately respond with a solution and a price, because we're working towards a conversation. Don't share any links in that initial response, because we don't want them to leave the conversation before it started. We want to ask them a question and get a response to that. Respond to whatever they've asked, and then seek further information. So a brief message ending with a question. As you're talking to them, make sure to drop in those reassurances. That's a very common scenario. I've supported students with this before. I can absolutely help you, that sort of thing. And then present a solution to the problem that they've described, which is 99 times out of 100 going to be the same for each client, right? If you offer a regular GCSE maths tuition, the solution is probably going to be regular GCSE maths tuition, otherwise they wouldn't have contacted you, but it might not be. Share what you do, how you can help, give a specific recommendation. So for example, this sounds very familiar, and I'm sure that an hour's weekly tuition will support your child with their confidence for the exam, for example. And don't forget to actually ask them for the sale. So something like, how does that fit with what you had in mind? Would you like to schedule an appointment for next week? I'm free at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. If that comes in as a phone call, it's a little bit different. So when you're on a phone call, you can build in more detail and be more reactive in the conversation that you had, but it still helps to have that script to work with, because we want to build towards a sale. So you've got a bit of guidance in your in the document there. So some of the sorts of language that you can use to help progress the call and increase the likelihood of booking a lesson. So as an opening script, I tend to use, so you might not know me very well at the moment. I'll give you a quick introduction to me, and to make sure that I can give as much value as possible today, I'll ask a few questions about you, and if it's the right fit, I'll give you some details about how you can work with me going forward. How does that sound? Right, so they know what to expect. They might be a bit anxious when they phone you, but you just told them exactly what's going to happen, so they'll probably feel less anxious now. And then conversations can probably follow the same template as the DM conversations, so you can use that same script. Okay, so let's have a go into breakout rooms and have a couple of minutes to go and work on your script and chat to each other, give each other feedback. You might do completely different things, but it'll still be helpful to have a look at your suggestions and get some opinions. Are you all set, Helen? Perfect. Let's go.
Sorry, Georgina, just quickly, did you say the PDF's in the chat box?
In the chat, yeah. Did you get a link to download from the chat?
I didn't.
Okay, let's send it again. There we go.
No, still hasn't come through.
No, it's loading. There we go. It should be there now.
Nope.
That's okay. I shall. Does anybody have the PDF?
Yeah, it came through for me.
Okay, I'll email it to you, Zainab.
Is it on, maybe did you, I don't know if anybody else, but is it set to everyone?
Yeah.
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 Oh, mine is weird. Nothing's coming through.
No worries. I can
That's
send
really
it to
strange.
you to get through the rest of the
I have a sticker to remind me every time to hit the record button.
Thank you. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Hopefully you've got some filled out sales scripts now. In the interest of time, I'm just going to ask if there's anything that you want to share about them, to put them in the chat, and I'm happy to get back to them. So when this session ends, everyone's moving over to a different link for the free event that follows. If people have questions and they want to stay on this link, you're very welcome to, and I'll make sure that we get to all the Q&A, but I want to make sure that we get through the whole session. Okay. Move on. There we go. Okay, so when we're talking to these clients, remember that the focus should not be on selling, which seems counterintuitive because I'm telling you to sell, but there are sales conversations, but the clients don't buy because we want to sell. They buy because they want you to help. So we want to understand the problem and explain how we can help them. Make sure that you're adding value to them in those conversations. So what can you share with them right now that will help them with their problem? Perhaps you can have some quick reference guides that have got your contact details in the bottom corner, and you can share that with them and say, oh, I can help you with this. Have a read of this, get back to me with any questions. It's enough information for them to solve their problem right now, and then you're going to be their best friend. I don't mean give them everything up front, but don't give them everything for free, right? But it'd be difficult for you to do that anyway, because learning is an ongoing process. We know that. It would be very difficult to encapsulate what you do in a PDF document, but you can share a link, you can share a blog post, you can give them a freebie, you can share a resource that will help them with the specific challenge that they've explained right now. And that also shows them that you genuinely care and you can help them going forward. From the customer perspective, the easier it is to work with you, the happier they will be. So we don't want to make them complete a digital assault course before they get started working with you. You might have a think about what your process is going to be, but it might be something like this. So you get a message on social media, you have a sales conversation in your inbox. If they're interested, you send them to a capture form. If they're not interested, you send them to a resource which is actually connected to your mailing list. So when they download it, they get added to your mailing list, and then they get sales conversations in their inbox, and you can call them later and see how they've got on with the freebie, and then maybe they'd be more interested in buying. If they've asked for more information in your inbox, perhaps you can arrange an introductory telephone call with them and get more in depth in the problem that they've got. You can filter out in that process clients that you can't support. You can refer them to other people in the community. There's a jobs board in the qualified tutor community. You might direct them to a submit interest form on your website. That could be a Google form or a type form, and it can connect to your CRM tool, so where you keep track of all of your leads. That might be a notebook. That's absolutely fine. It depends how many people you're trying to keep track of. You could send them onto your mailing list or Trello board, anything that helps, your Google contacts. If you use software, then that might be managed within Tutor Cruncher or TutorBird. At that point, then they've expressed an interest and you've got their contact details wherever you want to keep them. You might send them a new customer information pack. So email details about what happens next, make a template document to send them to a landing page on your website with the different resources that they can get from you now. And then that will explain the process and the next steps for them. Send them a service agreement for them to sign, and then deliver your excellent service. Happy customers who are going to refer more people. Also, following up on old leads is important. So sometimes people will reach out and then not sign up for something or not go ahead. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that they're not interested in working with you. That doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It just maybe wasn't the right product, maybe wasn't the right time, maybe just was a bad day. So following up with a call to those dropped or stale leads can actually lead to a lot more sales. So it might be that there's people on your mailing list that you haven't spoken to in a little while, previous customers who you'd like to work with again. You taught a sibling and you're aware of a younger sibling. Don't schedule the call. We're not asking people to plan their time. We're fitting in with them. So if you have their phone number, call them directly when you're thinking they're likely to be at home. They're not on a school run. They're not making dinner, that sort of thing. So we have 20 minutes left. Perfect. Why don't we have a brief action on looking back over past leads, maybe for the past month? Have you missed any opportunities? Who can you follow up on? Checking out your message requests and yeah, emails, inboxes, things that you've archived. Does anyone have any that they'd like to workshop right now? Do you think there's anywhere that you could go and have a look at leads that you've dropped, or you're not sure?
I've got a couple of people who just randomly, I know when it happens, it's when I'm chopping up chicken, because we had a conversation about jerk chicken. This lad I was working with, who's just beautiful, really lovely, little primary kid, year 5, thrown out of 5 primary schools, and mum was desperate to work with me, but she's being paid by her local council, or her son is, and so they had the kind of the all-seeing, this is the route. So so it didn't work out. But whenever I'm chopping up chicken and I've got chicken fingers, so I can't pick my phone up, I think, oh, I must get in touch with mum to ask how he's getting on, because he's now done a term with his local council, and I just so hope it's working out for him. Yeah, because he's beautiful, but he just needs extra support, and he needs all those things I was talking about earlier with Helen about giving the time codes and the time for thinking and the little tiny, thumbs up, silent thumbs ups. There's a secret little code. If he's got that, he's beautiful, he's perfect. And I just really hope it's working out for him.
Yeah, I love that. You do you remember these people, right? You kind of think about, oh, I want to check in on this person, and they appreciate that. Obviously, to every parent that you speak to, that child is the most important person in the world, and the fact that you also think they're important, they love that. Of course they will. They would appreciate you checking in. Yeah. I think I missed loads of things in the chat here, so I'm going to go and have a look at the suggestions. Okay, sorry Georgina, but you will see the rest on the recording. Lucy, perfect. 2 to follow up on. So mother of a previous student who got in touch for a second son but went silent after response, and ELAT interest, responded fulsomely and then nothing but silent. Yeah. Okay, what do you think would be a good next step?
Well, with the mother of the previous student, when I taught her older son, it was via an agency. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if she was expecting a big drop in price by coming to me directly. And I kind of don't want to open up that discussion if I can avoid it. Yeah. So I was thinking of emailing her again and saying, hi, Marilyn, you haven't got back to me. I've got quite a lot of interest at the moment. I did wonder if you found me a bit pricey, in which case do you want to go and have a look at these places and these options?
No.
I want to be helpful, and that's practical.
It is, but what you should say is, you haven't got back to me, and I really want to work with your child, so I'm keen to hold a space open for them.
Yeah, I could certainly do that, and it would be true, because he'll be doing EdXL International GCSEs, which I do enjoy because they're very difficult.
Helen's nodding.
I like the international maths. Sorry.
So she hasn't asked for a discount.
No, she hasn't asked for a discount. That's true.
You projecting some lack of confidence. I wouldn't assume that that's what she wants. I would also be careful, because if that's someone that an agency put you in touch with, perhaps maybe within like the last year or quite fairly recently.
No, it was further ago than that.
Make sure that you're not going to be breaching any contracts that you have with that agency.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is an issue to consider, but they are the only agency that I do any work for, and it's really only when they're desperate for a business studies teacher.
Yeah.
And they have to be really desperate. And I really only do work for them if it's, because most of their work comes through the local council, so it's kids in care or kids who can't go to school for some reason or another.
Yeah.
So I feel that's my bit of paying back, if you like. So no, I don't want to upset them, and they are very local. But on the other hand, I think it's over 2 years, and so I think it would count as restraint of trade.
Yeah. It's normally, I think, a 3 or a 6 month.
Yeah. So I think it's
a
good
kind of restraint as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but I need to go and read the contract, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Which obviously I've been avoiding doing.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I would make sure that you don't make an assumption that they don't about why they didn't get back to you. Just be positive and reach out to them again.
Yes, well, sort of the ELAT inquiry was a recommendation from another tutor. ELAT is the Oxbridge English Literature Entrance Exam, which I have done a lot of coaching for, and I have some very fiendish papers that I've created myself. Cackles evilly. Yes, one of my references from a student who got into Cambridge saying, after I'd worked with Lucy, I knew that nothing Cambridge could produce would frighten me.
Oh.
Because I'd terrified them enough already by making them read bits of the King James Bible and compare them to Rochester. But sort of, I love doing the ELAT work, so obviously I really want that one because I really enjoy doing that. And responded, and I've sent references. I'm wondering whether what I shouldn't have done is, in the first place, respond much more briefly to give myself space to follow up with references a few days later.
Yeah, but you can still reply with that, say, just checking in. I know I sent a lot of information, and perhaps that was an overwhelm. Is there do you have any questions? Would you like to have a chat?
Yeah, and I don't think the price can be a problem, because I know the tutor that recommended me charges way more than I do.
Charge yourself more. No.
By several multiples. They are a very, very specialist tutor about entrance into, I think, one particular school. Yeah, and so they charge through the nose for it.
Yeah.
I'd say don't mention the money until if they come back and say no, it's too much or something, then you can consider what your next step is.
Yes,
but
yes.
Don't mention the money. Don't mention the money. Yeah, don't talk about it.
I don't know if you saw my comment in the chat, but I signed someone up last week, and they haven't even asked me the price. They were just like,
brilliant.
5 o'clock on a Wednesday, please. And okay, you know, it's there. I sent them an invoice today. They're all signed up though, you know, that it's all booked in. They've got their Google Classroom, etc., etc. Haven't even asked the price.
And if I'm doing it, if they ask in the initial spiel, I leave the money to the end.
Yeah.
Because then they've got all of the interest in me. They've got to know me a little bit. They can see what I've offered, see what I'm worth, and then that's how much.
Exactly. Because you've got that feeling, haven't you, that actually, you know, this is the value that I give. I've been teaching 20 years, you know, I've taught the whole primary curriculum. I've been taught year 7, year 8, year 9 maths. This is the value that I add. You know, I know the curriculum inside out. I can float up and down it. I use CPA, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I'm because then, you know, it's like what I can do for your child. And but if you walk into a shop, right, and you see something sparkly that you think, oh, that's really nice, that's lovely, and you're really attracted to it and you want to investigate it a little bit more, if you walked into the same shop and there was a huge label that said £680, you're going to go, right, okay, don't like it that much. You're going to start looking for faults in it. So get the value in first before you give the price.
Yeah.
If they ask for it.
I love it.
Yeah, yes, then I will definitely take some of this on board, and I will follow up. I don't know how to report back to tell you what happens next.
You join our community, Lucy.
What?
That's how you report back.
I'm a member of so many communities. Can I really
but
with
this
another one?
I know it's
gonna
just,
be.
yeah.
I'm gonna contact you in a month, Lucy, and see how it went.
You're more than welcome. I'm in Georgina's Tackling Tutoring Online group. So, but yes, it's always frustrating not to know what happens in the end.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, it's a good result.
So
Cool.
I run the
I'll see my toes.
Yeah, I run the Business Hub part of QT, and it's all about this building business advice and building communities, and it's less like Georgina is doing today, giving us a presentation and lots of advice and whatever, but it's more sort of like working as a community of like, I've got this problem, how do we sort it out?
Okay,
and then you get advice of other people.
that sounds like fun for me. I mean, I've got you know, over 20 years experience working in PR, marketing and communications for high-tech businesses. And ran my own business for 10 years with employees and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, you know, that would certainly feel like a community where I could contribute something rather than always taking away.
It's very much about personal contributions. I mean, I think did we message? Did I email you? I worked in marketing for years. And I know absolutely nothing about accountancy. Well, I'm saying, no, actually, I do know stuff about accountancy now because other people in that community have supported and helped me.
Yes, I know some really good books on accountancy to deal with.
Well, there you go. Come on in, because we need you. Zainab's got a hand up.
Yeah, Georgina, when me and the other Georgina were in our little breakout room, we were trying to discuss, we were struggling with the ask for the sale part. And we were just talking amongst ourselves, like, it's very awkward when it comes to like discussing pricing points. What is the right pricing point? And things like that. So I just wanted, we both were struggling with this in the future. So
yes, we were.
Okay, I'm gonna just we'll end the hang on, too many screens, it doesn't want to move. I'm gonna share these and then I can stop sharing the screen. So Lucy's already mentioned the Facebook group, and this is where you can contact me if you want to, but I am always
sorry, can you pop that back up? Sorry, is it Tackling Tutors? Oh, it's recorded, isn't it? Sorry, I'll look on the recording.
I wanted to come off the screen share. So
sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, no. Thank you.
I've just popped it in the chat.
Oh, thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. So pricing, people feel very anxious about telling how much they charge. I think because it's not. it's not necessarily that there is a specific price that you should charge. Everybody charges a different amount. It depends where you are at the moment, essentially how confident you can be, not whether you're charging the right price, how confident you can be. If people are already paying that price, then you can probably charge more. Average across the UK for an hour's tuition is about £35, if that helps with like a baseline. I'm charging £50 an hour and people don't tend to object to that. People charge a lot more. So the price doesn't really matter. Some people start at £5 an hour, and I think that kind of is a bit of a disadvantage to them because it undervalues what they do before they've even started. So I wouldn't say that. What I got from the way that you asked the question was that you don't like to ask for the sale because you feel like people are going to object when you tell them the price.
No, this is very new to me. This whole so I just know my personality. That's I'm anticipating this.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that you're saying, you know, like when you go and buy a car or something like that, or a kitchen or whatever, when you have like a proper hard salesman, like the middle-aged man with his suit and his pen that he keeps clucking in your face. We're not doing that. You know, when you get to the end of the conversation and then they start making you feel bad for not buying. It's like, well, why did you have this conversation if you don't want to buy? Why are we even here if you don't want this? You know you want this. That's not what we're talking about. It's the so I feel like this would really help you. The next step would be to book a lesson in. I've got this time available. How does that sound?
I feel that.
That's asking for the sale. There's no pressure there. I feel like this would help. I'd like to work with you. Let's arrange something. Not buy this or you're a fool.
No,
only for the next 2
really
hours.
liked yesterday's session. When they were saying that it's okay to part ways. Like if you don't, because I do believe that you shouldn't lower your value because you know how much you're worth. So yeah. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah,
no problem.
Sarah Lynn said something really great yesterday in the well-being thing, and she was talking about, and I think Henry was as well. They were talking about working with the people that you want to work with, and just don't be afraid to turn people down or turn people away. And so I do a lot of 11+ work, and I get a lot of people coming who want to seriously hothouse their children, and they want, 3 hours homework or 2 hours homework every evening. And I just say to these, when I have my initial call, I say that is not the way that I work. I will teach the knowledge and the skills, and I will build confidence, and I will build the mindset for them to want to do the work. But I will not set 2 hours homework. If that's what you're looking for, that's not what I'm going to deliver. And just don't be afraid to say no. I don't think we're, not in so many words, but lay out your table, and this is what I have for you, and if you feel that you're the right people to work with me, if you feel that we're a good fit, then come on in.
Absolutely. And referring people to someone else is probably going to get you the same back, so there's no reason why you can't. Don't feel like you're losing customers in doing that.
Thank you. Karmic roundabout. Good things come back to you.
Yeah.
Though I would say that I've recently had an experience with 2 situations where I didn't want to take the student. Both of these students are year 7 at the moment, going into year 8. I don't normally want to work with students that young. Well, I would have done if I had known. But I am now working with one of them, and that is actually proving very interesting. He's got ADHD, ASD, he's quite complicated. And he says one question about every 20 seconds, all through the class. The other one I'm going to start in August. And his mother said she's Indian. Her point of view is that continuous learning is more important than exam crash. And so she's very keen, and she's explained that he's very sporty, wants to be an entrepreneur, is in grammar school, but is not doing any work at all at the moment. So he sounds like my cup of tea. So I'm hoping that, you know, it's sort of kind of scary for me that to have students this young, because I'm not used to it. But sometimes you have to try something new.
Yeah, it does tend to lead to more planning time if it's very different from everything else that you do. But
Well,
if you're
yeah,
enjoying
no,
it.
yes, well, it means I get to reread Treasure Island, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And probably several H.G. Wells books.
I love it.
I just want to put in a little, your first point about networking with other tutors for getting stuff.
Yeah.
There is a tutor in the room who has passed me a student. Thank you, Sarah, for that one.
Yeah.
Because it got to the top end of your range of where you tutor and getting ready to go into mine, and I'm at the upper end of at school. So Sarah was, I think you liked working with her, didn't you? And then
I did.
got to the end of it. And we've never met in person. I'd just like to point out that's later this year. We're going to finally.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
But
no, it's that whole
physically
style.
getting to know it. There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought I'd get that in just as a thought. So worth being
really
part.
Works. It really, really works. You know, that people buy from people. And if we know each other and we've got that relationship, then we can recommend each other. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I wanted to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to share. Khaled, I've seen some fantastic suggestions from you in the chat here. Is there anything that you wanted to add or any questions that you have?
Yeah, I would just like to add that I've since last year, since around let's say July or August of last year, I guess I read this book or I attended a seminar. I can't remember, but the main thing that I've changed my focus completely into being completely serving, you know, completely helpful. So even in my sales pitch, sometimes when it goes a little bit cold, sometimes my follow-up is just, hey, you haven't contacted me back for a lesson. I hope you're doing fine, you know, lesson or not. If you have any one-off questions, let me know. I say that to everybody, and honestly, some people do hit me up with a one-off question, and when I have time, you know, I prioritize my own students, but when I have time and I answer, it goes such a long way. Whether it's with that particular parent or student or another, you know, they refer me to other people because they just think of me as such a helpful person, and it costs me nothing. You know, I'm doing math all day. What's one more question? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really, really helps. Sometimes people just want to talk. They don't even want a one-off question. They just want to vent a little bit.
Yeah.
No problem. So many of my sales come much later. Not, you know, they're asking for a tutor, and then you ask them, do you want a tutor now? Do you want to try next week? And they say, no, thank you. And then 3 months later, they hit you back up and they say, okay, we're ready for somebody. And when they are there, you know, they think, who was helping me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a long-term thing. So I just want to say, if you're able to try to help, just help, you know, as much as you can, you know, if it doesn't harm you, no problem. Without getting in the way of your own, you know, your own work, then I say go for it. A lot of people hold on, you know, they act like it's trade secrets, but not a big deal. You can help, you can share. I think it comes back, you know, tenfold, really.
Yes, I'm often giving people my 5-step process to dealing with unseen poetry.
Oh yeah.
And I'm more than happy to hand that out to anybody, because students look at a poem and go, and run away. And you think, no, just work out who's speaking, who are they speaking to, what's actually happening. Just make it step by step, then they can work the first one out, and then they can move on to the next thing. So yeah, I'm with Khaled here. I happily share things also, because I know from past experience, you can give people as much help as you can. They are going to action about 0.1% of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they will remember you as helpful and someone who knows their stuff in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I've doubled up some of that serving with creating a lead magnet as well. We've got a book of maths resources, which is all the CPA kind of maths, concrete pictorial abstract, if you don't know it, but it's what we use in primary. And it's got all those resources there, and it's free, but you give me your email and then you're on my newsletter list. So I'm doing a little bit of nurture behind it, but it's free. And then I do regular videos on Facebook Lives. I hate them, but I do them. And again, you know, they're out there in the metaverse or whatever, not quite the metaverse, but they're out there on Facebook, they're out there on YouTube. I make a lot of use of them and people find them helpful. So
I really need to do that.
And people buy from people. And if you've done Facebook Lives or videos and reels and all that kind of nonsense, then they know you. They know you. You don't know them, but they know you.
I don't want to cut anything short, but I'm conscious that this is break time and that we might be about to lose our hosts and our tech. If people are in need of a break before the franchising session, there is no offense going to be taken if you drop off the call and go. But if people wanted to ask questions, I'm happy to sit here for a bit longer.
Just Georgina, on that note, where are the Zoom links to like the sessions? For some reason I haven't got them.
I got sent directly just the Zoom links for the business CPDs, and I got the general one for the free, because I didn't want to load my Google Calendar with everything, because I have other things that I've got to do this week. I can't attend every session, so I'll forward those in the chat. Let me go find them.
Yeah, that's okay. The free, most of the festival is on this free link, and the next session is on this free link. The rest of today, except for the qualified tutor CPD course, is on that free link, so you can, and the most of the rest of the week, to be fair. So you can stick with that one.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Cool. Did anybody? Okay, no worries.
I put the link for.
Do I need to go to the franchising one?
If you're interested in franchising, yes. If you already have an established business, probably not. I think they're very interesting speakers to listen to, but you're probably not going to be interested in setting up with a franchise at this point.
No, I'm not really. I have to say, one of the things I most want to not do now is manage other people. I've done enough. I've done enough of that in my life, and I'm just happy trying to manage myself, which is not necessarily entirely successful.
Yeah. Love it. Well, thank you, folks. I really enjoyed that conversation today.
Thank you.